Hi, I'm Dr. George Yancey. Let's share some paradigms. The paradigm I want to share today concerns Democrats and losing voters. I want to comment on this because I think there's a lesson to be learned about what's happening in the Democrat Party and why they happen to be losing voters. You may or may not have heard, but a couple of weeks ago, there was a report that came out that basically showed that in every state that was measured, I think it was about 30 states, the number of Democrats registered dropped. And in fact, overall as a nation, the Democrats lost about 2 million voters, and the Republicans picked up about 2 million voters. So what's happening here? And what can we learn from this? I think part of this is a reaction to the fact that the Democrats have been attacking Trump. Now, do not get me wrong. There's plenty to attack Trump about, okay? But this is just something that I think has been a consistent, but this is something that I think has been a consistent theme of the Democrat Party, is that the way we're going to win is by attacking Trump. And in fact, one thing you hear about some Democrats is, we lost because we did not attack Trump enough. We want fighters. We want people to go and get after him. Now let's think about this for a second. Let's be very honest, okay? And you may lean to the left, but we're going to be very honest. The Democrats spent the last 4 years doing everything they could to put Trump in jail. The Democrats called Trump a fascist. Some called him a Nazi. I don't think the problem with the Democrats is they're not attacking Trump enough. I just don't think that's the problem. I think they need to look elsewhere. And since he's been elected, the Democrats have really tried this similar strategy of going after Trump. And as a result, they've lost 2 million voters. So let me suggest that the issue is somewhere else. Let me suggest that the issue is the lack of the ability of Democrats to communicate with their constituencies and not addressing the real problems people have. Now, why is this? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we have a lack of communication. So why have Democrats have this problem at this time? I don't think this is an accident. And I don't think this is unique to the Democrats. It's just at this point in time, they're probably more guilty of what I'm about to talk about than the Republicans. The Democrats have created silos where they talk to one another and they reinforce the problems they see and the solutions they want. And what some research has suggested is that when we don't get opinions that differ from our own, we become overconfident that we are right. To some degree, I think this has happened with the Democrats. Now, what can we do about this? What can be done about this? And I don't say this as a Democrat. Those who've seen some of my videos know that I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican, that I have problems with both parties. And I'm not looking to be the savior for the Democrats. They can listen to this video or they can figure it out on their own. But I do think there's a lesson to be learned here that all of us can learn. Now, here's what I think is happening beyond the silos, beyond the fact that Democrats talk to each other and become very convinced that they are right and everyone else who disagrees with them is wrong. The Democrats have misused language in a way that's exacerbated their problem. I'm going to take one term, although there's a variety of terms this applies to. I'm taking the term I know the best, because as you probably know, or if you don't know, you should know, I am a race scholar. All right? The term racist. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, if you said someone was racist, everyone knew what that meant. It meant you did not like people of a certain race. Usually it meant you did not like people of color. Sometimes it meant you did not like whites. And you mistreated those people. You had perhaps some emotional hatred or fears of them. That was how we define racist today. And I think a lot of this happened in academia. So if you want to blame us academics for it, don't blame me because I didn't do this. But you want to blame us as a group, fair enough. Today, what does racism mean? Often what it means is you disagree with the solutions I have for dealing with racism. You disagree with affirmative action, or you disagree on an immigration policy, or you disagree with hate crimes legislation. That means you're a racist. Regardless of your emotions, regardless of your fears, of angers, you disagree, therefore you're a racist. And if you need any evidence of that, perhaps the most famous book on anti-racism by Kendi says that there is no such thing as a non-racist. Either you're racist or you're anti-racist. If you're anti-racist, you agree with the solutions Kendi has proposed. Now, what has this done? How do you communicate with people when, if they disagree with you, you can call them a racist? And I probably said this in other videos, but it's still true today. The worst thing you can be called in our society that's legal, that you can be legally, is a racist. Anything worse, such as a child molester or a murderer or anything like that, is illegal. If I find out you're doing those things, I'm calling the police. I find you're a racist. I may not think well of you, but I'm not calling the police because that's legal. To be called a racist is incredibly stigmatizing. How are the Democrats going to talk to people when those people disagree with them on racial issues, they see them as racist? And we can talk all we want is, well, I'm not saying you're part of the Ku Klux Klan or anything like that. We know what it's meant. How often have we seen people talk about white supremacy and you think, oh, they're thinking about Nazis? And you find out someone who voted against an immigration policy. I happen to be more progressive on these issues, on these racial issues, than most Americans. But I don't call people racists who disagree with me. They may just think I'm wrong, just like I think they're wrong. In the end, they may be right, I may be wrong, or vice versa. I think we should have conversations. We should try to figure it out. I like to believe that if we could have an honest, open conversation and figure things out, we can find areas of agreement. Maybe we can find total agreement. That may be possible, but it does not happen when I start by saying, you disagree with me, therefore you're a racist. How do Democrats communicate with people that they are losing? Some of the young, men, obviously whites. How do they communicate with them in ways in which they can hear them out and implement some of the ideas they hear if they believe deep down inside that these ideas are racist? This misuse of language, this using these political silos that reinforce this, that I believe has crippled the ability of Democrats to communicate. And one of the things I'm a believer in is we have to communicate if we're going to get away from these problems. So that is an issue that Democrats have to deal with. I think the Republicans at times have this problem as well, but on this issue, the Democrats are the party that is shrinking right now. They have some very serious problems right now. And if they were to hire me to fix their problems, I would say you need to listen to people you don't agree with without coming with preconceived notions of them being racist or sexist or homophobic or whatever. And see if there's ideas that you can pull in from them to incorporate into what you want to do. That's where communication, I think, can reverse this. But I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for that to happen. Does it share some paradigms? Paradigms of thinking about how we solve our problems, of racial problems, but others, and perhaps a different direction for Democrats to think about. Well, I hope you find this very interesting. I do. Obviously, I am, because I'm talking about it. If you like this, if you think this is a good idea, please comment. Don't like it, please comment. If you like these sort of discussions, check out my playlist. Subscribe, if you will. tell others. Well, thanks. And please come back. We can shatter some more paradigms.